Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Sparks with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Butchester. You know what I like to do on my show. I want to enlighten you. I want to inspire you. I want to empower you to become your best self. Now, Scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And today I want to get you fired up about this author. Her name is Penny Glover. Her book is Misty's Blues, and I am excited to have her on. Let me tell you a little bit more about Penny. Penny is the author of 5 books, and she has won many awards for her writing. The books are Reflections, It Hurts When Love Dies, Loving Eyes Can't See, Misty's Blues, and her latest, Sugar and Spite. Now, Ms. Glover has also written, produced, and directed 4 stage plays under her company, Penny Candy Productions, which are all focused on today's issues such as homelessness, domestic violence, teenage gangs, and spiritual awakening. They are Misunderstood, Misty's Blues, Picture Perfect, and The Soul of a Woman. Now, Ms. Glover currently resides in Washington, D.C., so I am happy to bring her to so many more metro areas and to share her works with you today. So you know what I'm going to say. Go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. Good morning, Penny. Thank you so much for being on with me today.
Thank you. Good morning.
Now, I love what you are doing. So you are not only an author, but you are also into production and you are a playwright. That is just absolutely amazing. I love the creativity that is involved in that. Now, before we talk about your books, if you will, I want to ask you a little bit about that, about directing 4 stage plays. Have you known that you have always wanted to be involved in the arts in general?
Yes, I always done that, but my books, every time people would read my books, they would always say it could be a play or a movie. So I decided that I should just go ahead and try. I like the challenge, so I just tried to go ahead and do a play, and I did it.
That is awesome. And listen, we all know what happens to, we know the success story of one person in particular who has become very famous with plays with Tyler Perry. And he says a very similar story. People kept saying, this should be a play. You should really let people see this. So, we never know what your future will ultimately bring. We may see your name up all over the world as well, as far as your plays are concerned. Now, with your books, your books have definitely become an international success because of where they are available. But did you know that you wanted to be an author at a young age, or is it something that as you grew and matured, you found that writing was just a natural expression for you?
Well, it was just a natural expression. I always wrote because I was very timid when I was a young girl, and I never really talked much. So that's the way I used to express myself, through my writing.
I love that. I love how we are able to get our message across more than one way, and how creative people are and enabling to show that expression. I've also heard that a lot of times with people that are musicians. They said, I had a really hard time in finding the words, but I could express my passion or my hurt or my disbelief through my music. So I can definitely follow along with that. Now, were you at a particular point, and I love how you said that you always knew that you wanted to write, but was there a particular incident that happened that you said, this has changed, of course, looking back, that was the moment where you understood the power of the written word? Perhaps not your own written word yet, but just the power of the written word.
Yes. I used to write poems for people who passed away. Someone always wanted me to write a poem, so I had to feel what they're feeling, and that's how I write it, and it touched them so much. So that's how I started doing that. I knew that I had this connection with people, the way they felt.
I love that. Now, what inspires you or keeps you motivated to write today?
Just people in general. I just love to write. I always meditate a lot. And these words just come to me.
Now, do you find that when you are writing that you need a particular environment in order to get the words out of your head and, down on paper or into your laptop? Like, does it need to be quiet? Are you the type of person that likes to be alone? Or as long as you can get it out, it really doesn't matter what's going on around you?
It doesn't matter, really, because a lot of times I carry a little pad with me because I can be on the bus or anywhere, and I just write it down. Some idea will come into my head, and I'll write it down quick before I forget it.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I have a friend who is a composer for movie scores, and she was the same way. She would have this was, back in the day, she would have a little recorder. Now, of course, we have our cell phones and you're able to do it, but she would have a little recorder and she would just hum a tune, or you would see her kind of off in the corner just and it was like, that is amazing. And people who didn't know her thought that it was a little odd, but I went, that is amazing that just comes to you like that. So I can understand how important it is to get that down. Now, what made you, as far as Misty's Blues is concerned, what made you actually sit down and decide this book needs to be written now?
Well, it was quite, when I ride the bus to work, I take Metro and the public transportation. So I used to see this young lady on the bus with this little baby, and it seems like she didn't want to be bothered with the child. So I would just, in my head, I would think of the story, what could be that makes her not like the child like that. So in my story, that's what made me come up with Misty Blues, because that was the story in my head. Maybe that's what was wrong with her.
I like that. There is inspiration all around. So for someone who's saying, I don't know what to write about, just maybe relax a bit, open your eyes, and see what is revealed before you. Now, of course, without telling, the entire book, because, I know folks need to read it, but can you give us a little teaser? Can you tell us a little bit about Misty's Blues?
Well, Misty's Blues is not because of the things that she went through, all the trouble and disappointment she went through. It's because she has blue eyes, too. She was biracial. So the things that she went through, that's what made me say Misty's Blues. Her name is Mystique, but they called her Misty.
I like it. Now, when we look at some of your other books as well, would you say that the stories are from personal experiences? Are they bits of fiction, but maybe derived from some real things that have happened in the world? How do you come up with your stories?
See, like I said, I sit back and I'll people watch, and I just want to know how their life is when they at home or what they're doing. So in my mind, that's how I make it up.
And if you don't mind, I want to ask you a little bit, since we are talking about your books, and you don't have to necessarily go fully, into depth with it. But if I have it correctly, your books are reflections. What is Reflections about?
Well, Reflections is a poetry book. It's a compilation of all my poetry that I did when I was younger, and I just put them all into one book: love, religion, life in general, and I just put them all in one book. That was my first book, yes.
And your second book is Loving Eyes Can't See?
Yes, that was about domestic violence.
Ah, okay. And then you also have Sugar and Spite.
Yes, that's that one is about someone who found out that her husband had another family, and she was naive at first, but then she realized she was spiteful. She was nice at first, but then when it turns out she was just spiteful at the end.
I gotcha. Now it's quite interesting that that you have included subject matters that I think that most people are familiar enough with, that they would be able to perhaps even gift a book to someone if they are going through, or they just going through something, or they're simply looking for a good read. Now, so many times people will say that as a female author that they have a tough time at it because they are women who write books. Did you find that as a female author that it was easy enough for you, that you thought that the process of becoming an author was easy enough, or did you find that there was some pushback because you are a woman, or did you find that the process simply was what it was and nothing was going to stop you no matter what?
That's what it was. Nothing was going to stop me. I was determined because I had stories to tell, and people related to them. I would always get good feedback on, because someone said they went through this or they went through that, and that would make me write even more because I feel I was helping someone.
Yes, especially when you're talking about Loving Eyes Can't See with domestic violence. I think that that's something that if you know someone who is a victim of domestic violence, being a part of their support team, and many times we think support team just being those in the in your medical team or being like a social worker or something like that, but you can also be a member of someone's support team simply by just being a really great friend when they need you. So I love that. Now we have about a minute left in this particular part of the show, Penny, but I wanted to ask you one more question, and that is about the writing process. Did you find that writing was hard? Was it difficult? Like, what you had in your head may be one thing, but actually getting the correct words for the reader to understand what it was that you were trying to convey. Not that you didn't have the words, but was it hard choosing the correct words to convey exactly what it was you wanted the reader to understand? Is that a hard process?
No, it's not, because all I have to do is someone give me a title, and I can write a book about that. Gotcha. I love it. Well, it is time for us to go to break, but before we do, Penny, if you could please, can you remind everyone what is the title of your book, where can we get a copy, and how do we stay in contact with you? Well, you can get my book, Misty Blues, at lulu.com, amazon.com, and barnesandnoble.com. And you can catch me on Facebook and pennyclover.net.
Alrighty, everyone. Now you know where you can get a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this.
Hi everyone, Dr. Angela here. Did you know that Daily Spark is now on Facebook? That's right, you can visit with me at facebook.com/Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I want to know more about what you're thinking. I'd love to know which interview did you find the most entertaining, or the most informative. I want to talk to you, and I want you to be able to talk to me. Simply visit facebook.com/Daily Spark with Dr. Angela.
Discovery. No, just a sec.
What would it look like if we listened more? Could the right voice, the right set of words, bring us all just a little closer? Get us to open up? Even push us further? It could, if we took the time to listen. The most inspiring minds, the most compelling stories. Download Audible and listen for a change.
What a crazy year it has been. Anyone out there feeling just a little bit lost right now? Well, no problem. Join me in learning how we can turn fear into confidence that creates cash. I'm a part of a series that helps everyone pivot during these times of uncertainty. Simply visit helpmepivot.com and access this free mastermind that includes not only myself, but international experts sharing their secrets on how to turn this time into a time of opportunity. Simply visit helpmepivot.com.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Butchester. You know what I like to do on my show? I want to enlighten you, I want to inspire you, and I want to empower you to become your best self. My guest today is Penny Glover, and we are talking about her book, Misty's Blues, and I really like the title of that book. Penny, now we were kind of talking about it a little bit before we went to break, and that's the writing process. Now, for so many people, they will say that they have experienced writer's block. What is the hardest part about writing for you? Did you ever experience writer's block, or what's an obstacle you've had to overcome?
Well, it's no hard part for me for writing, because I'm always thinking of something. My mind is constantly going all the time. That's why I have a notepad by my bed all the time, because sometimes in the middle of the night, I just think of something and write it down. So I have no problem with that.
Now, with the titles of your books, do you find that you get the title and you're able to write the story around the title, or do you find more so that you're writing your book and your titles are developed out of your writings? Is it pretty much the same story for all of your books, or is it a different story for each one? How does that work about the titling of your book?
Well, I usually get the title first, and then I write around the title.
I love it. Now, are there any other projects that you are working on right now? I love that you say, you keep your handy dandy pen and pad with you. So does that mean that you have potentially another book or another play in the works?
Yes, I have a book and a play in the works now.
Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Well, the book is going to be called Broken Branches. It's about family life and the kids, how they grew up and how they separate from the parents. That's how everyday life, how teenagers are now with their parents. That's what I'm going to focus on this time, and the things they go through the family. Family issues.
Now, did you find that, is it easier, in your opinion, is it easier to write a book or to write a play?
Well, a book, because I'm dealing with myself. A play, I direct it, I write it, and I have to deal with I have to find people to be in the cast. It's quite a bit more work for doing a stage play than a book.
Mhm. Mhm. Now, when you write a book that is also a play, do you find what are the differences that you have to do in that? Like I know that, for example, for Colored Girls was a book first, and then it became a movie. So we know that everything that's in the book, you have, so many pages that you can just really kind of go deep. But with the movie, of course, you only have X amount of time that you're allowed to to display whatever it is that you're going to show to the audience. When you do your books that are also plays, how do you determine what needs to be shown in the play, or how do what is the process of determining, well, this stays but this goes?
Well, none of my plays or my books are the same. The plays
Ah.
are exclusive. Even though I have a play called Misty Blues and a book called Misty Blues, they're different.
I see. Okay. Okay.
The plays are more, all of it has to do with Christianity, spiritual, with God issues.
Mhm.
They end up turning back to God.
Mhm. Mhm. I see. I love that. I love that. Now, as far as ambition goes, we know that you are definitely an ambitious person because you are following your dream, and you're doing exactly what you feel that you have been called to do or purposed to do. But what helps keep you an ambitious person? What keeps you motivated?
Just knowing that when I get the feedback from people, knowing that I try to feel what they're feeling, that what keeps me going. As long as I get this feedback, either good or bad. That's why I call my company Penny Candies, because of the variety of people. Nobody's going to like everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I do that. The candy, like candy. Everybody doesn't like the right candy. Some will like it, some won't like it, and some so. That's just like my book.
I love that because I'm actually old enough to remember penny candy. And you're right. There was enough choice. There were enough options that not everybody was going to leave happy. Everyone may not leave with the same thing, but it's like keep looking until you find something that you like, and bingo, there it is. So I like that analogy. That is awesome. Now, what is your favorite part when it comes to the writing process? Do you have a favorite part? Is it coming up with the title, developing your main character, the publishing process? What is your favorite part of the entire writing process?
Well, the characters really gets me going because I want them to feel what I'm feeling. That's why I tell them to sit back and get a drink of wine or something to nibble on or something. I want them to relax when they're reading my books because I want them to get into that world of the characters. I want them to feel it. And that's what keeps me going.
I can understand that. Now, for someone who is aspiring to be a writer, what advice would you give to that person who says, I think writing is what I am supposed to do, but I'm a little nervous. I'm afraid to step out there and write my first work. What advice would you give to them?
So don't give up. Just keep writing. Write a journal. If you don't want to write every day, just write something down every day. And just don't give up and believe in yourself. Always believe in yourself. Believe in God. You'll be all right.
I love that. I love that. Now, for someone who is the spouse or the mate or the best friend of someone who is trying to write. Is there any bit of advice that you can give to them as far as being, a part of the support team? How can they encourage that person who is trying to write? How can they help?
Well, keep encouraging them to write and tell them don't give up. Just support them. Tell them to support them. Give them all the support they can.
Now, Penny, so many times when we are talking about successful people in life, we have an understanding of what it means to be quote unquote successful. Many times people will say it's the fancy car, the sports car, the expensive car, the luxury car, it's the big house, it's the mink coats, whatever it is for you. As far as literary success is concerned, as far as being an author and being successful is concerned, what does literary success look like to you?
To get my work out there to the world to see and to read, because I want everybody to feel what I've been feeling when I write. I want them to experience, because I know even though it's fiction, everybody has been through the same things, because we're all human.
That is so true. We all, when we really sit down and talk about it, we all also want the same things. I think everyone will agree that it's like, you want to be loved, you want your family to be safe, you want to be able to go to church and come home, go to work and come home, and everything just to be okay, that you have your little bit of sunshine. So I have to agree with you on that one. Now, as far as choosing people that may have inspired you. You're welcome to give names if you like, or just talk about people in general. But when it comes to those who are writers or authors, be it is poetry, it's short stories, or whatever, are there people who inspire you, both known and unknown? And if so, how do they inspire you?
Well, Tyler Perry inspires me. I like so many. Nikki Giovanni. I liked because I used to do poetry at first. I liked Gwendolyn. What's her last name? I can't even think of the lady's last name. But I have so many people that I can't even, who I look up to. But I never read anybody's work while I'm writing on working on a project, because I don't want to be miss out of focus when I'm working. I want to stay on my lane.
Now the name, I don't know if this is who you're talking about, but the name Gwendolyn Brooks popped into my head. Yes.
Mary Monroe. I love her work.
It's so true when you say that you don't read when you don't read anyone else's work when you're working on your own, and that is so true, because I don't read anyone or listen to anyone else's sermons when I'm writing a sermon, or when I'm about to present for a particular project. And it's so funny because I just did that for a Women's Day. And many friends asked us, like, did you read the newsletter? Did you read the other stuff? I said, nope, I didn't read it at all. Not going to read it until after I'm done. And then once I, did the sermon and I read it, I said, oh, look at how awesome God is, because it all flowed into each other perfectly, and it ended up being just quite beautiful. So I can understand, because you don't want to bring someone else's voice into your work. You want it to be yours. So I can definitely understand. I love it. Now, if you could give advice to your younger self. So many times we get these epiphanies at the age that we are, and we go, oh my goodness, I sure wish I could have told my 10-year-old, my 15-year-old self, my 20-year-old self to do something different. If there's something that you could tell your younger self, what age do you think you would have told it, and what bit of advice would that have been?
Well, when I was probably about 12, I could have told myself I should have started writing books then, but I didn't because I didn't have the self-esteem then. I didn't. You were young, a teenager, you just going through things yourself you don't know. But
Right.
I would have done that.
I tell you, the things that we learn along the way, but I love now how you are able to definitely make up that time and share with us all of those beautiful creations that have been given to you. I love it. Well, Penny Glover, thank you so much for spending time with me here on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela and with our listeners today. Is there any last bit of wit or wisdom that you would like to share with the audience before I let you go?
Yes, just believe in yourself, believe in God, and you'll be okay. Everything will be okay. In my email, pennycandy.com, and you can see me on Facebook too, Penny Glover.
I love it. Thank you again, Penny Glover, for being on with us today.
Thank you.
And listeners, of course, thank you for spending time with us as well. As always, may you continue to see God's grace and mercy in everything that you do. And remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Until next time, everyone, have a great day. Bye-bye.